Scene Daddy Interviews.
Welcome everyone to Scene Daddy Interviews. My name is Ian, and this is really cool. On the phone right now, we have Colin Vieira and Matt McAndrew of Slaves. Guys, how you doing today?
Good, man. How you doing? What's up, buddy? How are you?
How you guys doing? Yeah, I don't know if anyone will be able to tell, but my voice is almost gone. This has been a crazy few days. But what about yourselves? How's everything going for you?
We're good, man. We're currently sitting at a studio. We're here for 6 weeks, recording our fourth full-length album.
Awesome.
And yeah, man, it's going good. It's we're just been busy, man. Like 12-hour days, nonstop. We've been here for a week. Today marks a week, and yeah, man, just trucking through these songs and having a blast doing it.
Very cool. Now, do you guys already know how long you plan on being there? Like, is it another week? Do you know when you'll actually be completely finished?
Yeah, it's gonna be 6 weeks total. So we did a week, and we have 5 more weeks to go.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. You guys are gonna have to sit tight and really get through that. So, do you have music completely done and lyrics done, or are you working on them separate and also writing in studio?
Yeah, I think we have maybe 4 or 5 completely done, 10 or so started so far. So
okay.
Yeah, we came in with about I think 5 or 6 songs that we had like demoed out while on the road since January, and then we also had some that we're writing in the studio, which is what we're doing right now, and we're just pretty much trying to compile as many songs as we can, and then like pick the best like 10 or 12 of them.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Well, obviously we're going to get into a ton with, everything the band's been going through, but now with Matt in the band officially, how has the writing process been? Is it completely different than when Jonny was in the band? How is this actually working?
Yeah, man, it's actually pretty different. Slaves as a band we've always treated the writing process differently, just from the situations we were in.
Sure.
Like the first 2 albums were pretty much written by Alex Lyman, our old guitar player.
Ah, right.
With like sporadic little things here and there from the rest of the band, but it was mostly Alex Lyman.
Mm-hmm.
And Beautiful Death was done in the studio, completely done, and all of it was done in the studio. At that time, everybody had just quit the band. It was just me and Jonny, and Weston was coming back in just to help us out in the studio at the time.
Yeah.
But that was written like in 4 weeks in the studio with Eric Ron, and it was just kind of like crammed in, and it turned out, I think it turned out really good, especially for the time that the situation we were in. This time around, it's way more of a collaborative band thing. Like we already had songs written that were, we just jammed in a room, and just written together in a room for like pretty much the first time in the history of the band. And Matt really brings he's a really good songwriter. We're coming to learn right now. And he just brings I think more of an organic songwriting vibe that more than we've ever had, I think, in the past. And it's more all the writing's done from the band, which is, I think different. It's done as a collaborative effort from the band, which I think is different than any other album we've done.
Well, Matt, coming into the situation, where you are, what is it like for you to now be writing with completely new people?
Yeah, it's cool, man. I do some co-writing when I work on my solo stuff too. So
yeah,
I guess the notion of working with other people isn't a new one, but I guess what's interesting about this situation is that it's an established band with an established sound, and with 5 people with different personalities and different things that they bring to the table. So it's, when I'm working on this, I understand that Slaves is already a thing with a sound, and that's because of these individual parts, the people that are in it. So it's cool. I feel like we're kind of all trying to hit the same mark. But it's been a lot of fun. The process has been, they'll kind of start laying down all of the instruments, and while that's happening, I'll get kind of a feel for it. Maybe I'll step outside and just start writing some lyrics and melodies, and then come back in and track what I've got. And then we lay that down and then bounce off of that. And But I mean, everybody throws in ideas. I'll throw in an idea for a guitar part, or somebody will say it'd be cool if the vocal does this or whatever. So it's been pretty collaborative and cool.
Very cool. No, that is very great to hear. And I think I want to build off of something that you mentioned there as well. And I think, Colin, you can speak to this, and Matt, you can speak to this as well. With so many changes in the band, was it ever a thought to, completely change the name and rebrand and go in a completely different direction? Because, Matt, when you just mentioned, hey, Slaves is established, you have a sound, was there any talk of, well, let's go away from post-hardcore a little bit, or, alternative rock, whatever you want to call it, and work on something else, entirely?
Yeah, man. That was a big discussion, and it was at one point it was going one way. We're all for changing everything, changing the name. At one point it was going another way where we didn't want to do that. But it's been, especially, under the circumstances we were in, everything kind of happened so fast.
Right.
And we were on the road, we've been pretty much almost on the road since Jonny left,
Yeah.
As far as we've always kind of geared, since Beautiful Death, we've always been kind of gearing to progress with our sound, and it's usually in like a more R&B or poppy way. That's just how we've been as a band, complete, like with or without Jonny.
Mm-hmm.
But so we, it was just about however we were feeling in the studio. We're not necessarily trying to like nail a certain sound.
Okay.
But anything we do kind of comes out from, as Matt mentioned earlier, like the elements that make Slaves is still, we still have that foundation. So it's always going to sound like Slave.
Mm-hmm.
But we were all, even with John, we would have been progressing in the same direction that we are right now, even with Jonny in the band.
Oh, okay.
As far as the name, that's like the last thing that is really, I think we've really stepped away from everything we, with Matt being in the band right now and how the band is right now. I think we're kind of starting fresh, and the name is the only thing left that really was, it was thought of by Ty, our old drummer, and Ty has nothing to do with the band anymore. So we that was something we wanted to change. Mm-hmm. But I think just for the business aspect of it, I think it was just better for us to keep it, because we still want to play the Beautiful Death album. That was a album like dear to all of our hearts. That was a really special moment for us in the studio, and our fans really love those songs, and I think it'd be a shame if they could just never hear them live again. So
right.
Yeah, and I would say, like from my point of view, my background isn't really so much in I guess heavier rock music, but in like 2014 I got super into Sempiternal by Bring Me. That's still one of my favorite albums, period.
Yep.
And I remember I went to see them live. It was like Bring Me and Issues opening at the time I'd never heard of. Mm-hmm. And I was ever since then I was like, yeah, that'd be really fucking cool if I could be like a frontman to like that kind of band, like that kind of post-hardcore scene.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's great for me. I would have no intention of stepping too far outside of that, because I mean, my solo stuff is kind of singer-songwriter pop.
Right.
I have other projects that are kind of more straight ahead pop. So for me, this is like my chance to kind of do the rock star thing that I kind of didn't see coming at all, and it's been really fun. It's like I don't play guitar. I just run around stage. It's great. So I like it.
Nice. Well, let me go back to something that Colin mentioned there. So now, with the name being really the only thing that's kind of quote unquote left over from the old regime, when you're moving on now, what are you guys going to think, or does it just roll off your back now, the stigma of Slaves was Jonny's band? I mean, I would assume that even when he was in the band, that probably wasn't a great feeling to begin with. But now, with Colin, with you continuing on with the band, maybe not the same exact sound, but maybe similar, and then Matt coming in, what do you guys think of that kind of stigma?
Yeah, we always see the comments on our Facebook and our Instagram and stuff like that, and everybody's gonna have their opinion, and Jonny has fans that are super, super loyal, and so it's, this has happened with two other bands, and Dance Gavin Dance got the same thing.
Yep.
That's Jonny's band, and same with Emerosa. It won't be the same without Emerosa, or without Jonny.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, when people say that it's just not gonna be the same without Jonny, they're right. It's not gonna be the same. Or they say it's just not Jonny, and they're right. It isn't Jonny.
Right. Right.
It's a completely different person. So there is that element of Slaves. Like I said earlier, like we all bring a little piece of the puzzle that makes up Slaves, and the piece that Jonny brought is unfortunately is no longer going to be there.
Right.
But we are very happy with what we have that is filling that place. So it's going to change sound a little bit, but as we're sitting in the studio right now, going back to our Airbnb every day, like smiling and laughing, and
Nice.
because it's so like that we're so happy about the new sound that we are going to have. But it's still very much Slaves, you know.
Yeah.
But as far as what was your question? How do we the stigma about yeah, I mean that'll go away over time. You know, once we drop it. The thing is, you know, we feel like we've seen how much progress we've made since January, and like how much we've done, and the hard work that we put in. So like, it's little when we see these Instagram comments, and like it's just not the same. Our Slaves is done without Jonny. Like we know, because we know we're here. We're going on like we're here writing this new album, and you know, we know what our future holds. And sometimes you just forget, like, the fans, the outside perspective. The last thing they know of is Jonny leaving the band, and then you know, they really haven't heard much of us since we've been so low key about things. So like I do understand where they're coming from, but I think the new album, once they hear the new album, and once they see there's still the same Slave sound, and you know, I think they'll have more respect for the musicianship behind Slaves, and see it's you know, it's just a progression. It's a step forward for us, and you know, but it's fine. People are gonna you know, like I said, Jonny has really loyal fans, as he should, and some people are just not. They only liked it because of Jonny's voice, and those people we might not, you know, keep them as fans, but
sure.
I think a lot of people will like this finished product and see it as a progression from us.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only natural for people to associate a big part of a band or a sound with the singer. I mean, that's what people cling on to a lot of times, and that's totally cool. But I'm excited for, you know, these guys to be able to prove themselves just on their own merit as musicians. You know, I don't think people necessarily know like how great they are just in their own right doing what they do, and I think you'll be able to see, like Colin was saying, the kind of sound to carry over. But also in terms of keeping the name and everything, I mean, I walked into it doing the Beautiful Death album. That was still kind of what the band was touring, and I really liked those songs. I mean, you know, that was this thing that I wasn't necessarily counting. I mean, I had time to really think about it. I had, like, you know, 2 days to hop on a plane or whatever. But once I was really doing the songs live, I actually really fell in love with the music, and we have no intention of not playing those songs live anymore, you know. And I think to me, I've kind of already internalized all those songs to represent like something that means what's going on with me in terms of like my kind of trials and tribulations going in the band and shit, you know. So it's all good. But I mean, I think as far as the new music's concerned, it's kind of like the good stuff will float to the top, and the work will kind of speak for itself.
Absolutely. No, I really like what you said there, because that was kind of going to be a follow-up of mine. When I had talked to Jonny about it, one of the things, like, I've never been a drug addict. I've never been addicted to drugs or anything hard like that. And still, Beautiful Death is one of my favorite albums. It's absolutely amazing. And I'm able to take those lyrics and those melodies and that's, you know, all the instrumentation, everything that goes along with every song, and still put it towards my own life myself. So it's very cool to hear that you're able to do the same thing, maybe to a different degree as well, but so that you get that connection with the song too. So that is very cool. How long did it really take you, or I guess the question would be, how did you look at it when you came in? Because I'm sure you didn't want to do it like karaoke style. So how long did it take you to really get into everything?
The whole karaoke thing wasn't a concern of mine. The concern of mine was just learning the songs, period. Like learning the lyrics. I mean, some of it's pretty wordy, and like the melodies are pretty intricate and stuff. And so, yeah, going from like never hearing of the band, like I had no idea who the band was. I'd never heard of Jonny Craig or Slaves before I got that text. And so, you know, only having a couple of days to try to get it together. But, you know, the thing about kind of my background is, from doing the voice, I have experience covering songs or singing other people's songs that are really near and dear to people's hearts. Like I did a Beach Boys song on the voice that nobody ever covered the Beach Boys on that show before. And it was kind of a big deal because, people are, that's like, you don't touch that. That's like, oh, check out my, I'm like, this is my take on the Bible or something to some people,
Sure.
So, but I always just do things kind of, the feedback I get live is that I kind of do my own thing with them. But again, it's not like I'm somebody who was a fan before and, like I grew up trying to sing like Jonny or something. I did it. So I just naturally sing them the way that I sing them. I mean, by the way, I think you did a great job on the record, but, yeah, I just like when I'm singing, I'd rather see a star explode. It's just all about everybody in the crowd that probably thinks, who the fuck is this guy? And he's going to suck. And that's like, I'm going to fucking prove you wrong right now,
There you
go. It's been pretty fun. I almost think of myself as like, look, I'm a fan of these songs too. I just happen to be up here singing them to you.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good way. Look, the way I look at it is, have you guys ever seen the movie Rockstar?
Oh, yeah.
You're not trying to do that. You're going to be your own band and do things your own way. So it's not trying to be an imitation. It's not trying to do Jonny. It's being yourself. So that makes complete sense for sure.
For sure. And like there was people suggesting, singers to join our band. Like this guy sounds just like Jonny, or this guy's like almost as good as Jonny. And like, we definitely didn't want to go a route with somebody that was going to try to sound like Jonny, because I think Jonny is a very iconic singer, and only Jonny could do Jonny. People try to do Jonny, and nobody could. Jonny was born with that. Like people just can't sing like Jonny. So I really love the way Matt. You have to just make it your own, especially if you're up there doing them every night. You don't want to. You don't want to feel like it's karaoke. You want to feel like you're into it and you're playing the show and you're just trying to connect with the fans the best way you can.
Exactly.
Not trying to be like somebody else. And I really commend Matt for that. And I'm glad that he did that, because I don't think we would have went with a singer that was trying to be like Jonny.
Yeah, it's like I didn't even have time to try to copy. Like I wouldn't do that with anybody anyways. But it's just the notion of me trying to let me try to get his mannerisms down, and like it's like that. There's just no way, man. Like I was just trying to remember the words. Like that wasn't even an option,
Yeah, you were definitely thrown into the deep end, having to go over to Europe, get on that tour with Escape the Fate and do all that is pretty insane. And that's kind of what I want to focus on right now. So, Matt, you said you got a text, about, being in the band. So Colin, how did all this work out where you go, I know we want Matt to do this. It's very last minute. How did everything come together?
Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, this story has been told to so many people, and it's a good one. It's a good one. People are pretty surprised by it. But all right. So, as you know, things were rocky with the band and Jonny.
Yep.
Previous to our European tour, we did it in late December. We did a acoustic run, East Coast and West Coast.
Yep.
At that time, Jonny was, I think Jonny fell back into his ways a little bit and wasn't being the most honest about it. And I think at this point in the band's career, it was past being, worried for Jonny, and it was past trying to, help him on our own. I feel like there was nothing we could do anymore after so long of, getting on the right track and falling off, getting on the right track and falling off. And at this time, I just think the situation he was that he had at home wasn't helping at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the West Coast run for our acoustic tour, we ended up kicking Jonny out at that time. And so we played one last show with him. That was in Fresno. We played one last show with him in Anaheim at Chain Reaction, and that was going to be it.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going to be looking for a new singer for these new tours.
Right.
A couple weeks after that, Jonny hit up our management and our Shan, our label, and kind of put us in a group text, like saying that, let me prove myself. I'm shutting my phone off for this whole month. We had a month before the next tour. I'm going to get myself together and blah 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 blah. And we gave them stipulations. We're like, if you do this, this, and this, we'll do these tours and see how the tours go. And then after these tours, you need to do this, this, and this. And we could, we'll move on from there and see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
So cut to a couple days before, we're the whole band's in LA we're practicing. We're getting ready for the, our Europe tour. And Jonny's supposed to be there, but he had a few things he needed to do, didn't make a couple flights, and we found out later that he was using, and right before this, and that's why he wasn't at the in LA to practice with us, and so that got a little rocky, and but then he right last minute he says, yeah, I'm going to go, I'll be there. The morning that we're leaving for Europe, he flies out from San Antonio, his house, to LA, gets off a plane, and then 15 minutes later books a flight home.
Right.
From LA back to San Antonio, and just says pretty much like direct quote is like, every fiber of my body says to not do this tour and go home.
Right.
And so at that time, we get to the airport. We didn't even know that happened yet. We get to the airport with all of our gear, and then we're like, okay, where's Jonny? He should have landed 2 hours ago. Long story short, we find out that he's on a plane back to San Antonio, and at this point, we have 45 minutes to get on the plane.
Wow.
So Escape the Fate comes through, sees us with all of our gear sitting in the check-in desk, and, sees what happens. They say, all right, well, let us know. We have to board the plane. They board the plane, and we get a text from Kevin Thrasher. By the way, at this point, we're calling everybody we know that could even kind of sing.
Right.
We're calling our booking agent saying, please, can you sing for this tour? We're calling everybody. Literally anybody we know that can sing. And it's either they didn't have a passport, they want to do it, but they have other obligations. They wouldn't be able to make the first couple of weeks, this and that. Anyway, long story short, we get a text from Thrasher, the guitar player from Escape the Fate, saying, hey guys, I know a guy that could really sing. Don't know if you would want to do it, but here's his number. Look him up. It's like a video from him on The Voice. It was like 9 seconds into the video, and I said, call him. Like at this point, the check-in desk has already like extended their, like they were supposed to close down 5 minutes ago. So they're literally, while we're on the phone with Matt, they're saying, hey guys, did you find the singer yet? So anyway, Matt's like asking normal questions like, how long is it? Is it paid? Am I getting my flight taken care of? And I literally just grabbed the phone from our manager. I'm like, sorry, man, I know we don't even know each other, but we got to know yes or no right now.
Wow.
And he just says yes. And the funny thing is, he called back and said, hey, guys, good news. I could sing the song, because he had to listen to the song. He was like, let me call you back in 5 minutes and see if I could sing these songs. I think he just wanted to make sure there's no screaming in them or whatever.
Sure.
He calls back and says, yeah, I get good news. I can sing the song. Bad news. My passport expires today. So we expedite. So while we're getting on a plane and running through security, they let us go through security. We went straight to the plane.
Mm-hmm.
While we're running to get on the plane, our managers are trying to get a passport expedited, which we end up getting done the next day.
Okay.
He hops on the plane, and he was in Manchester for a sold out show in like a day, and it was a very, very stressful situation. And
wow.
I don't know how we got so lucky, because I tell people this all the time. Like, even if we had 6 months to find a new singer and like go through all that, chances are, because this has happened before, chances are it would just been another thing where Jonny ends up doing a little bit, doing better for a couple months or whatever, and we go on with Jonny. Because why would anybody want to kick out Jonny unless there's some real problems going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I tell people that all the time. Like, if we had 6 months to find a new singer, we couldn't have found a better fit, personality-wise, vocally. It was just weird thing when things happen like this. I think it really is for a reason, because, like I said, I don't think we could have, even if we tried, found ourselves in a better situation.
Wow. So then, what was that moment that you knew this wasn't going to be something temporary, that Matt was staying on for good?
I remember the exact moment. First of all, on the plane ride over, I'm just watching all his videos on The Voice, because I didn't even know he was on The Voice until Kevin sent us those videos.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm having the worst plane ride of my life, like emotional as hell, like crying for like 17 hours, because Jonny, also a lot of people don't know, like, me and Jonny were best friends before Slaves even started.
Right. Yep.
When everybody left Slaves, me and Jonny kept it going, and I still have nothing but love for the dude and care about the dude. My parents love the dude like he's their son. Nothing but love. But I'm just having that emotional plane ride. I didn't even want to think about like if Matt wanted to join the band yet or not. Just pretty much my world was like crashing before me.
Right.
But I did feel thankful that we found a singer and the tour was going to go on.
Right.
The moment was probably the second. What was the second show, Matt? Where was it? Nottingham.
Sure.
And we're playing another big show. It was close to sold out. It was like this big venue, And I just remember like looking at Matt on the stage singing the songs, and the second time ever singing these songs, and he was just like, killing it, and just the energy he had, and his mind frame, and his willingness to put in the work, and him being grateful. It was just like seeing him being super grateful to be on that stage and killing it. And that's just when I knew. I was like, I really hope that he wants to join our band. And I knew at that moment that like I knew he would want to join the band without even asking him. I just knew everything, like I said, just kind of got put into place, and like things like that don't just happen and then not work out.
Right.
I think when things like that happen, it's like they're meant to work out. And so far, it just every step of the way, it's just getting more and more meant to be ish. If that makes sense.
Oh no, that's actually really good to hear. So Matt, for you, did you also find that clicking moment at the same time, or was it somewhere else down the line for you?
Well, I mean, yeah, for me, the first show was so kind of daunting before going into it. I've played a lot of shows before, and I've done a lot of crazy shit where I got to go sing on live TV in front of 13 million people and shit.
Right.
So I've done some things. I've played really big shows. I've played stadiums before and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was really, really nervous. That was by far the sketchiest, scariest thing I've ever done in my life, was getting on that plane. Because I'd never met these guys before. I never even talked to them.
Right.
And my worst fear was that I was going to show up having said, I'm going to do my best to pull it off. And I was going to show up, and they'd be like, dude, what the fuck? You don't have all the lyrics memorized? They're like, just, my best wasn't going to be good enough. And because I stayed up all night on my red-eye flight there. I didn't sleep at all before the first show. I was just running the songs on loop.
Oh, yeah.
And, I'm getting tired. And so, after sleeping the first night, my brain was working way better. It was easy to remember the lyrics and stuff, but it's just just trying to cram it all in. I was thinking, I don't have even one song memorized. This sucks. And I had to read some lyrics off my phone on stage. But I will say though, it was really funny. I felt like my mom dropped me off at the airport. On the ride over, it was there was this huge rainbow that went across the whole sky, and we're like, what the fuck is this shit? And by the way, I've always wanted to go to the UK. That's a dream of mine.
Oh, okay.
I always said I would play a closet in the UK just to go over there and do it. I thought it'd be so cool.
Yeah.
And the first show goes down, and right off the bat, it was way better than I thought it would have been from the crowd reaction standpoint. I had this one guy that came up to me with tears in his eyes. He was like, man, I'm a huge Jonny Craig fan. He's my favorite singer, but you did really well. And
awesome.
Because everybody was really nervous about how it was going to be, obviously, which I totally get. So it was a band that I really liked, and there was some. But anyways, that specific Nottingham show was it was the same shit for me. It was I got off stage, and I almost started tearing up a little bit, because I was just can't fucking say no to that. That was the greatest thing ever. You know what I mean? It's just really weird, man.
Yeah.
It's just so weird how it worked out. And we've only known each other for 6 months. But this is the other thing. I would have said yes to a Europe tour, because that's crazy. That's awesome. That's a dream come true for me,
Yeah.
But as far as joining the band, you don't join a band unless you get along with the guys. First of all, I started out doing bands. I never thought I would do that again. I thought I kind of had it all figured out. You do the solo artist thing.
Right.
And it's very easy. Get to make all the decisions and everything. But
yeah.
But it's just meshed so well. Even all the same stupid jokes and all. I mean, stuff you can imagine, but I feel we're all kind of weird guys though too. You meet all these other bands on the road, and it's I like these guys and I'm down to hang out with them, but I wouldn't be in a band with them. It's there are people who are this guy's a friend, this guy's a homie, but it's no, this is my best friend. That will you know what I mean? It's that kind of different.
Wow.
It's just really weird.
Hey, it's kismet, I guess. Yeah, no, that sounds really, really great. So just to continue with you for a second, Matt, so what was that culture shock like? I mean, obviously this is Scene Daddy, so the deal with, we cover all the
Scene Daddy, what up?
Yeah, there you go. And it's a weird name for a reason, because everyone's got a weird sense of humor and everyone's tattooed up.
Yeah.
Crazy people. What was that culture shock like for you? Because now you've not only done Europe, but you've also toured in the States as well. So what's it been like?
been great. I mean, in terms of the scene, well, it's nice to just have a scene. It's nice to be somewhere. You know, I was one of the things that I kind of realized was just how lonely it's been being a solo artist. And I, by the way, I mean, I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
I just released a song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny to think about all the years that I would just get on an airplane by myself and sit in a green room by myself and try to write songs by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you compare that to just hanging around. I'm like a very social guy. I'm pretty extroverted, and it's really cool. So, I mean, that part's cool. Doing the singer-songwriter thing or folk thing or pop thing, I never really felt any kind of sense of community when I was doing that. This is the first time that being around these other bands that you can tell, like, genuinely have, like, affection for each other, and it doesn't feel competitive. And then the people that come to the shows, like, that really kind of fill in the rest of the painting, you know, like, that they provide the vibe and the excitement and the energy and the support and, like, even, like, the fashion and the all the vibe. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all really cool. And I don't know. Yeah, I consider myself to be a bit of a weird dude. So it feels like I get to show up to, like, fucking weirdo party and be the king for a day or something. You know what I mean? Like, king of the weirdos.
There you go.
I don't know.
No, hey, that's a way to fit in for sure. So I got to ask, just while we're still talking about this, when you were out on tour with everybody, was there any band in particular that kind of took you under their wing? I mean, obviously Colin and everyone can teach you about this music, but was there any vocalist or someone that was like, hey, this is what you got to do to really, you know, make this kind of thing work?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say, I don't know, one thing that comes to mind is when I was still on the show, Sleeping with Sirens was staying at the same hotel that we were all at for The Voice. And so I just kind of got to meet him, and then he was kind of nice enough to give me some support while I was on the show. I guess he had been watching some of my performances or whatever. Mm-hmm. So he's somebody that I was able to kind of look to and had a little bit of contact with. And then, like, you know, we got to meet up with him when we were in London, which was cool for the last show. But even just beyond that, in terms of touring, like, I definitely watched Craig a lot of nights when we were on tour, just to pick up little things in terms of, you know, when we started these tours, I really still wasn't comfortable performing without my guitar. You know, it's been the majority of my performances that I've ever done have been me playing guitar and singing.
Right.
So you feel a little like the scene from Talladega Nights where he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. It's like that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But I kind of figured it out now. But yeah, just, I mean, I don't know. I'd watch, like, you know, I'd watch Craig and just, oh, my bad. I'm saying, Colin's asked me to clarify that. I mean Craig Mabbitt from Escape.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyways, that was definitely helpful. And just kind of like trial and error, you know, like you do things and you're like, yeah, that didn't feel good, or this does, or whatever. But I mean, all the other bands have been super nice, but I would say that was probably the first thing.
All right. Yeah, that sounds definitely good to me. So let's go back a little bit, because obviously we want to clarify some things, because this is an interview show and we like to be as truthful as possible, and, you know, everyone's perspective is different. So was there anything in the interview that we did with Jonny Craig that was incorrect timeline-wise, or anything that he mentioned that was incorrect about the status of the band or anything like that?
Honestly, I kind of like skimmed through the interview, because we were actually in Australia touring at the time, and it came out like at a weird hour. But some of the things that stood out to me, well, first of all, I think I never think it's a good idea to do interviews when something just happens and, like, you're freshly mad about something, because since then, like, you know, Johnny's texted me, you know, apologized and kind of said how you know, he just apologized, and I don't know if he regrets his decision, but, you know, says that he, you know, he wishes he was on tour at certain times, and just kind of I think apologize about the situation. It was probably weighing on his chest a lot. But at the time of the interview, I think he was still pretty angry about it. Like, his band just moved on without him, and I think he did a good job with that interview. But there are, you know, some of the things that stood out to me were how you know, he was saying that he really didn't have any support he's like, that day I just had no one to talk to. I realized I had no one to talk to. And, I'm sure Jonny's phone was just nonstop going off that day about people supporting him. And he specifically mentioned like management and like booking agent, like even our booking agent was reaching out, like just anything you need, Jonny. Like what do we have to do to keep you in this and this? I think Jonny, and I think if he had to redo the interview, I think that's something he would say, that I think Jonny's had a lot of support from people that really care about him.
Right.
As far as timeline, I don't really recall what he was saying timeline wise, but I also think he made it seem more like it was like a decision for him that he was making, that he was going to quit the band, when it was kind of like a situation that happened and we moved on without him. But none of that's really too important. I think that's just like all perspective.
Yeah.
And but the only thing is, like, I think Jonny had a lot of support and he just chose to avoid it. And I think he was saying that he went home and got his shit together before he actually really went home and got his shit together.
I see. That makes sense. But that's why I wanted to ask. Obviously, it's not often that you get to talk to both sides of an issue. So did you feel at that time like you were someone he could talk to, or do you think because of the band moving on technically without him before that, and then, allowing him to come back, that might have made him feel like he couldn't reach out to you?
No, honestly, because to be honest, that wasn't the first time this situation's happened where he's kind of, we told him we were done and then there was another chance, and that's happened before. I think Jonny always knows, and he definitely still knows, that I'm someone he could always reach out to, my whole family, anybody in the band. But at the time, I think it's just more him trying to, I don't think he was worried about reaching out and getting the help at the time. I think he was worried about playing it off like he didn't need it.
Okay.
And, he didn't want, because he can and has come to the band many times and said, hey, listen, I need to be doing this so I don't end up on drugs. I need to be doing this so I don't go back to drugs,
Right.
So there's been plenty of times where he's reached out. I will say that I was so much like, and it sounds weird, but I was almost like a father when it came to the band, like the dudes in the band with him. Like I was always the one telling him what he shouldn't do and what he should do to keep off drugs.
You were like his team dad.
Yeah, I was like his team dad. But, so at the time, I think it was like a broken record. Like I've had hour conversations with him many times about this stuff, because I could relate to what he's going through.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of my very close friends that are still doing the same things as well.
Right.
But I think after a while, after there's so much, and there's been, especially the past year, or mostly the last 6 months of Jonny being in the band, it was just kind of my word was just like, it's the same thing over and over again. And then there was fights, and it got to the point, like I know one point in the interview you guys did, Jonny said that Colin couldn't even look me in the eyes. And that was pretty much true. Like it was just so like I said, me and Jonny were best friends, and before the band even started. Mm-hmm. And we always had a really, really, really close, like, brother relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what I should have said. Not that, like, big brother kind of relationship.
Oh,
but
yeah,
and there after this, like, especially what we went through the past, like, 6 months, like a year to 6 months, like it just wasn't. We didn't have that anymore. We didn't have the friendship. It was just Colin jumping down Jonny's throat because Jonny messed up again, and Colin's sick of it because Colin works really hard, and it just felt like it was getting kind of thrown in all of our faces. The band works really hard,
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So I think he just he'd probably rather go to someone else at that time, because I think he just felt the same way. Like, Colin can't even look me in the eyes. Like, he's just our relationship is not what it was, and that is all true. That is very true.
Okay, so how are you guys now? Because I did see that he promoted, Slaves very recently. Are you guys getting back to a point where you might be able to actually continue to be friends, even if you're not working together professionally?
Yeah, I think we're friends. I think me and Jonny will always like you can't just be like so close to somebody, like live with somebody. You know, me and Jonny lived together multiple times and been in the band for so long and went through so much stuff that you know, it would be a real shame if it's like we don't talk anymore because of this. And I think it was like towards the end of our last tour we were doing with Less Than Fall. Actually, it was the date we were in Sacramento, which was like the last week of the tour. Is when Jonny reached out to me, and he said he was reading an email that he sent to my parents about a situation that happened a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. And I guess when reading that email, it made him break down, and he decided he wanted to text me and kind of just apologize for the situation. And, you know, I had some apologizing to do too. You know, I said some things that I, you know, shouldn't have said, but at the time it was very frustrating.
Right.
He apologized to me. I apologized to him. We talked about, you know, what he's doing music wise, talked about what's going on in his life. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of me saying, I'll always be here. My family will always be there for you. And, we just kind of, made amends that way. And it does feel a lot better because especially with somebody that's struggling with addiction the way he is and has, mm-hmm. You never want to, like, it was kind of just killing me, like, knowing that, you know, something bad could happen and we wouldn't be on good terms. And that's the last thing I want. So it's good. Yeah. He promoted the song the other day. We sent him, the song that we're about to release, or I guess by the time this comes out, has been released.
Yeah.
And he sent me some of his new music, a couple songs. So, we just kind of like, it's cool, man. It's better knowing that people don't have to pick sides.
Yeah.
And it's great that Jonny is still doing music, obviously, because he has such an iconic voice that people love. Mm-hmm. And it's great that we get to do what we're doing, and we could be in our own lanes and kind of support each other in that way. So I'm very happy with the way things are right now, and as long as he knows that he can always come to me for anything, and as long as I still have a friend, so it's all good.
That's awesome. Well, look. We're not going to harp on too much negative. I just wanted to ask one question before we get to some more positive here. But when you had put out the statement that, in January, that Jonny was out of the band, there was that one line that really got people going, and that was the one...
That he chose his addiction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that done on purpose? Was that a slip? Like, do you stand by it? How do you feel about that now?
Well... I think that was interpreted the wrong way. And I wish I could see the exact statement right now because I remember when people kept on commenting on that, I remember just being in my head being like, this is what it meant. So what was it? He's Jonny, what was the statement?
So here, I got it if you want. So
okay, yeah, perfect.
Yeah. It's also unfair for a band to rely on someone who just can't rely on themselves. Addiction is a disease, and we hope Jonny gets the help that he needs. Unfortunately, Jonny chose his addiction over the band and left them high and dry while checking in for their international flight while he boarded a plane back home.
For sure. Okay. So, not meaning he chose to be a drug addict or he chose this life or something like that, but he chose to leave the airport that day to, in my opinion, at the time, choose drugs over a career with a band and a tour.
Ah, I see. Sure.
So he chose to step out of that airport and then hop on another plane and go home in my opinion at that time, to continue to use drugs so he wouldn't withdraw on the plane that day. And instead of choosing to go with the band and continue his career and focus on his sobriety, but not meaning he chose to be addicted to these drugs or he chose this disease of addiction.
Okay. That's just what I want to check on because I know that was something that people harped on a lot. We talked about it a little bit in that interview as well. So
100%. Another thing is, yes, the band did write that statement, but also it always goes and gets edited by management just so we don't have these run-on sentences and this and that. So that part might not have been worded by us, but it's I still do stand by that. He chose to go on the plane and go home instead of choosing the right choice and focusing on his career and his sobriety.
Just to add on to that, because I totally get that, but I think one of the big things that came out of that interview, at least one of the things that hit me, was when he said that if he had gone on that tour with you guys, he said he wouldn't have made it. He said he would have died. Do you believe that to be true?
100% no.
Okay.
100% no. If he's with us, we have him on tour. We don't, as a band, we didn't even drink when he was in the band on tour.
Right. He did mention
for him,
that. Yeah,
and he got watched. And don't get me wrong, there was times when he would like sneak away and pull a fast one on us. But
sure.
At home, at the time, his home life was where the drug use was happening. On tour was when the drug use was not happening.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's just what I want to clarify. All right, let's get to some more positive things here. So you mentioned you had sent the song to Jonny. Right now, you guys have been teasing a new song for July 26th. And like I said, this won't be out until after that. So I haven't heard the song yet, but can you guys go into a little bit of the sound, what you kind of wanted to put out there to make a statement?
Yeah, 100%. We'll get like my take and then Matt's take on it. At that time, I think we were going through what were the whole thing we just talked about. Mm-hmm. We were freshly out of that. We were actually in Australia when we started writing and recording this song.
Ah, okay.
So a lot of it is that vibe of dealing with dealing with a hard situation, that something that brings you up and lets you down, brings you up and then brings you down, like the emotion of dealing with Jonny at times when it was things were really good, and when they were good they were really good,
right.
And then when they were bad it just kind of spiraled downhill, and then it was like a setback for us, and that's the kind of a vibe of the song. It's kind of like dealing with letdowns, and then it's like the roller coaster of a lot of times what addiction's like, or being in a relationship with somebody that's addicted to something, or just being in a working group with somebody like that.
Right.
So I think that was a big part of where we were going with it, with that song. Just I think it was like kind of like a final like thing that we had to get off our chest as a band. Like,
oh, okay.
The emotions we were going through at that time were strictly put into that song. So that's kind of where it stems from as a band point of view. And then Matt writing the lyrics, he has his own stuff that he relates to as well. So.
Right.
Yeah, as far as my contribution, lyrically, it was more just me thinking of, I guess, my own like demons, for lack of a better term. Just depression and issues that I would have on a personal level in terms of, just dwelling in the past and not being able to let things go, and kind of tormenting yourself with things that you should just let go, but you can, and it weighs you down.
Sure.
So that was. I just kind of wrote from that perspective. It's easy to see how it relates to the band's situation with Jonny, or with addiction as a kind of a larger issue, which is kind of what we're going for. But
right.
Me personally, that's how I, even if I'm writing something that's not like a diary entry,
mm-hmm.
If I'm going for a certain thing, I'm like, okay, well, how does this relate to me? And I mean, how lyrics work. There's a lot of metaphors and whatever and things that you can get into it, but for me, I wrote it to be totally true and applicable just to my own personal life, but obviously it works for the band as well.
Right. So was this going to be, or is this a standalone kind of statement single, just showing everyone where the band is, where you guys are going, or is this also going to be on the album as a whole?
This is definitely going to be on the album as a whole.
Okay.
It was just something at the time when everything was going down. We knew we needed to put out something fast and show. We didn't really skip a beat pretty much, because like, for instance, like Emarosa, I think when Jonny left Emarosa, I think I remember him telling me that like it took them like 4 years to put out a new album or something like that.
That's a long time.
Definitely not something we wanted to do.
Right.
We wanted, and also just having the people say these are Jonny songs and this and that, which I 100% don't agree with, even though, yes, a lot of it is having to do with Jonny's life.
Sure.
But, that doesn't make it all his songs. It's actually the fan songs now.
Yeah, right.
But it was definitely, we wanted to get it out ASAP just so people have things to listen to.
Right.
So it's not just like, stop singing these songs, write your own stuff, blah, blah, blah. We're way ahead of them on that. So, I feel like we did it without skipping a beat, and I'm really, really proud of the work we put in, but I think Matt also has stuff to add.
Yeah, I was also going to say too, we wrote and produced that one with our buddy Jimmy from Awaken I Am when we were in Australia.
Oh yeah.
And it's so funny to think about. Everything's been happening so fast because, even though Slaves had already toured with Awaken, they said they weren't even aware that the guy was producing, and he's incredibly talented.
Yeah.
And because of his relationship with Slaves, he understands the sound, and he sent this song to us when we were on tour in Europe, and that was the one that we were like, wow, this could really be cool for our sound, and he totally gets it. So went in, we cut the song and called Heavier, and turned out great. And so now we're in the studio with him in Chicago, and he's producing the whole album. So I think it only makes sense, like sonically, to throw it on there as well. It's going to kind of fit in nicely, but it's been really fun to kind of see what else is going to be on the record too. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure everyone else is too. So this is going to be great. Yeah, I am very much looking forward to hearing the new single. So I think we covered a ton. I think we covered most of what I thought we were going to for sure. So I do have to ask though, this is something I want to start closing shows with. Since we are, we have a weird name, Scene Daddy and everything, and then you talk about yourselves being, kind of weirdos and clicking well with each other. What gets you guys through when you're not making music? Are you guys movies, comic books? Is it comedy? Like, what kind of gets you guys, going and gets you through those really tough days?
That's an interesting one. Honestly, it's just a lot of music. Honestly, it's albums for me. I think listening to like a good album, or you're speaking of like getting through a rough time, or like what we do.
I mean, you guys had you had tons of travel. You had tons of travel that you've been doing recently. You also just bonding with Matt, getting the band together. Like, was there anything that clicked with you guys, like that kind of thing?
Yeah. I think our sense of humor, probably, jokes that we make.
Yeah, that's really all you need. Like, for example, Colin, you missed out on this earlier, but me, Zach, and Felipe went to get burritos earlier, and we were just coming up with jokes based on Colin's name. So we're like,
interesting.
What do you call Colin when he's in a fight? Brawling Vieira.
Oh my God! Yeah, so a bunch of really bad jokes to make a long story short.
Baby Colin, crawling Vieira. Like,
oh my God!
That's all, like, for hours. Like, that's really all you need.
So pretty much we're easily entertained by ourselves, I guess. But also we do cool things. Like Matt's been trying to do like 500 push-ups in an hour.
Whoa!
So we try to do like little challenges like that. Like I think we're all trying to do. See how many push-ups we can do in an hour every day, and like just try to do more fitness stuff and like healthier things, because we've all had our fair share of the unhealthy things. So just any way to be productive. A lot of times I like listen to podcasts when we're on the road, or like I listen to a lot of like music writing, like YouTube videos and just stuff like that.
For me, when I'm home, I just like enjoy like taking the dog to the dog park, and
nice.
And I also teach music lessons, which has just been a fun. Like I do like Skype lessons, which has been really fun, and it was sort of something I just picked up to stay busy. But it's been super fulfilling, and I really love my students, so that's been another cool thing that I've been doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Colin, you had mentioned being really into music, obviously. Matt, have you done any further research into the scene? Have there been any other bands recently? You mentioned Bring Me the Horizon and Issues when you went to see them live. Has there been any other bands that you've gone into recently
that have kind of come up through this? Well, so dude, what's really funny about it is like just from the tours we've been doing, I would talk to my buddy Richard, who's like one of my best friends from growing up, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing a tour with like Bless the Fall, and he was like, whoa, no shit, really? I was like, yeah, is that like good? Like I don't really know anything until I do, So it's been fun getting into it. I mean, I got super close to dudes in Palisades. I really like Awaken I Am.
Oh yeah,
both bands that we've toured with.
Mm-hmm.
Colin was turning me on to Paris, which is pretty dope.
Oh,
that shit's pretty cool. Circus Survive. But man, I don't know. There's so much fucking music out there, and honestly, like, it's just cool because I think we balance everybody out. Like, we got like Weston is kind of coming in with the real kind of heavier Blaze-esque riffs, for lack of a better term for it, and then like Felipe will come in with his kind of atmospheric, cool chords, and it's just we all kind of balance each other out. But I mean, as far as the writing process goes, like I could have been listening to, I don't know, anything and then have that inspire something that still fits with our sound, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I hopefully we can get some more tours, and I'll learn some new bands.
Awesome. All right. Well, before we end here, was there anything else you guys wanted to go over?
I would kind of like to add one thing.
Yeah, man.
Just in terms of, you know, the whole drama around me being the new guy. It's funny because I guess it's a little difficult or whatever, but I know that it's making me a better singer than I would have been if I didn't have any of that negativity to face, I guess, or like criticism to face. So like, even doing the tours and stuff, like I go out there and I know that I have to prove myself.
Yeah. And
so it just makes for a better show. Like, and I operate well with like a chip on my shoulder. I like being the underdog. I like proving people wrong. It's like a alternative energy source or something, you know, where so I'm kind of like fucking bring it on. But what's so cool about it too is seeing in the comments people, you know, somebody said like, oh, this guy doesn't have Jonny's range, and somebody else says this guy doesn't have any range. So the new joke is that I either only hit one note or zero notes. But but that being said, I'm like already like, okay, like I really want to push myself vocally on this record, and make sure that like for anybody who actually knows what the fuck they're talking about and can tell what notes I'm hitting, that I'm fucking doing it, you know?
Funny, I woke up this morning, I think it was like 2 mornings ago or something. I apparently Matt had just read a comment like that, and I hear the little keyboard going ding, ding, ding. He's finding the notes that he needs to hit to prove that he could like hit all these notes. It's funny. It's pretty inspiring, and it's like motivational to see somebody like take the like criticism or like haters, I guess you could say. It's not even criticism. Like the way he has, and it's just like, all right, well, what is it? B, whatever note it was. Like I got to hit this note and this note. It's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also on the flip side, as far as the band is concerned, then the other comments like we kind of brought up are just about like, oh, the band is Jonny or whatever, and or the night thing without Jonny. And so I think for all those people, like you really don't know who you're dealing with here. These guys are really great, and I think most people are really going to enjoy what we're all making in the studio. So it's fun. It feels like we're all in it together.
Yeah.
And also that being said, I know I mentioned this. I'd never even heard of Jonny before this. I've certainly never met the guy. And so I have no personal animosity or feelings or anything. All I can say is like, yeah, I think the guy's a good singer and he did a great job on Beautiful Death, and that's it. But it's become this almost this sort of symbol of like, I'll fucking show you, you know, and I kind of associate. But as far as the man personally, I have not met him. Maybe I will one day. But I'm just excited because I know it's pushing me to be a better singer than I would have been otherwise. So it's great.
No, I can say that, you know, in January, and you can't really judge things off of YouTube, but I remember watching videos of you on the tour when you were just learning everything.
Right.
Coming across on YouTube, it didn't look like it clicked as well. But then recently, I've been able to check, you know, there were some people that did some more high quality videos of like full sets recently. And there is huge marked improvements. Like it sounds so good now. So I can tell you from personal experience, you were in a crazy situation at the beginning, like one of the craziest that there could be. And then to be able to go through that adversity and keep with it and just improve that, it's been great. So I just want to let you know personally.
Well, just like my 2 cents for that too. Yeah, I was like, I started out, I was making up lyrics, and also like, I think 4 shows in, I got a sinus infection. I was like coughing up blood, and I had to try to get a Z-Pack in Antwerp, Belgium, or whatever, and like under the table and shit. So, anyways, then I started to feel better, and I knew the songs and shit. So it's good. But it's been cool too, because when we did the U.S. tour, people I don't think realized that we already had like 2 tours under our belt by that one. So we were pretty polished by the time we came to the States, which was cool. And I was a little nervous about, you know, how the U.S. crowd would take it. I had what you'll probably think this is funny. I had one guy that came up to me and was like, dude, I just want to say, man, I saw Emma Rosen and Dance Gavin dance live. I just walked out. It just wasn't the same without you, bro. And I was like, oh, I'm not actually Jonny, but thanks, man. So I mean, I got a lot of that in the States. I'd be like, oh, Jonny, can I get an autograph? I'm like, yeah, I'm not Jonny, sure. So I guess that means that they liked it. So
that's
all good.
Oh, that is good. I really do like that. All right. Well, guys, I think that was actually the perfect place to end. So I just want to let you guys know that I am very excited for a new Slaves music. I think a lot of people didn't really know what to expect. We didn't know, what was going to happen to one of our favorite bands. So to hear you guys talk about everything and be really, really optimistic for the future is really awesome for me to hear, and I know everyone else out there as well. And I do want to mention the same thing I said to Jonny, like I think I might have even mentioned it earlier. Beautiful Death is one of my favorite albums. So it's great to hear that you're continuing with that and then also have your own Slave sound coming up. So obviously the new track is out now. You're working on new music. But until then, what is the best way to support you guys?
Just come to the shows. If you see some merch that you like on either online or at shows, buy it. But mostly just listen to the music, and if you like it, spread it to your friends, show your family. I think we're a band that's pretty easy listening to us. It's not nothing too crazy or heavy or out there. So
Sure.
I guess just spread the word. Also, I know there are some loose ends before we release a single, but I know we're going to be putting on a shirt, and I'm not sure what charity yet because, like I said, there's loose ends, but we will be donating a certain amount of the proceeds to a charity of it's going to be for addiction and a few other things. So
nice.
By the time this is out, we'll probably have a shirt online for you to buy, and we'll explain it all on our site. But a lot of it will be going to a better cause, and it'll actually have if you buy the shirt, we're gonna put the charity's number on the back. So. Mm-hmm. Pretty much the concept is, by supporting us and wearing the shirt, you could be, just walking down the street, you could be helping somebody in need.
Very nice.
They're, walking behind you, and they could see a number that they can call if they need help, and they feel like, maybe it'll be assigned to them to get help.
That's great. Yeah, we'll definitely have links in the description of the episode to make sure that people can get that as well.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Well, once again, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I was really excited to have this conversation. It was great to, get clarity and, figure out everything that you guys have been doing. So once again, I am really, really excited for the new music. So once again, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
You've been listening to Scene Daddy Interviews.
Thank you all for listening to Scene Daddy Interviews. Make sure you support the artists we featured by checking out the summary of the episode. Also, for all your scene news, reviews, and memes, make sure to follow Scene Daddy and Ian Hates on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe and rate Scene Daddy Interviews on your favorite podcast listening app for more great artist interviews in the future. Stay seen.